This is Empowered Magazine Investigates. I'm your host, Anelia Sutton. Let's begin.
We stand in solidarity to mourn the execution of Marcellus Williams, a man wrongfully convicted and denied the justice he deserved. This heartbreaking event highlights the systemic failures of the injustice system. Marcellus spent over 2 decades on death row, battling against overwhelming evidence of his innocence. His story is not just one of individual suffering, it represents a larger pattern of racial bias that continues to plague our society. The death penalty disproportionately targets Black Americans, and Marcellus's case is a reminder of the lives at stake. We cannot ignore the fact that the system is built on foundations of inequality and injustice. Marcellus's execution is a rallying cry for all of us. Let's honor his memory by pushing for change, advocating for abolition, and ensuring that no one else faces the same fate due to a broken system. Listen to this creators on TikTok speak on it.
Missouri governor is granting pardons at a pace not seen since the World War II era. I thought I'd go through a list of some of the Missourians Mike Parson has granted clemency to in his time as governor. Kenny Batson, now a free man and a local pastor convicted of car vandalism, burglary, DUI, and, quote, nearly beating a man out of this life and into the next. Pardoned 2022, freed from prison, voting rights fully restored. Britt Reed, son of Chiefs coach Andy Reid, convicted of DUI after crashing his truck, injuring 6 total, including sending a 5-year-old girl into a coma for 11 days with a traumatic brain injury. Sentenced to 3 years in prison, Governor Parsons commuted his sentence without consulting the prosecutors or the victim's family, reducing time served to be under house arrest. Mark and Patricia McCloskey, the St. Louis couple, who, upon seeing George Floyd protesters walking past their home, assumed the position outside, rifles in hand, aimed at the peaceful protesters. Convicted of misdemeanor assault, pardoned 6 weeks later. Marcellus Williams, an inmate for nearly 20 years on a murder conviction who has maintained his innocence the entirety of his prison stay. The prosecutors who originally sent Marcellus to prison had reversed course and have been pleading with the governor to stay the execution, spare Marcellus's life. After admitting they purposefully packed the jury with white jurors, the 2 main trial witnesses were not credible, and new DNA testing found none of Marcellus's DNA on the weapon used. The DNA that was found on the weapon was that of the prosecutors, after they mishandled the weapon without gloves. The victim's family has since come forward begging the governor, the state attorney general, and the state Supreme Court to stop the impending execution. None obliged. The United States Supreme Court had an opportunity to stop the execution. The 3 liberal justices opined that the execution should not go forward. The 6 conservative justices, 3 of which were appointed by Donald Trump himself, said go right ahead. The same 6 conservative justices, 3 of which were appointed by Donald Trump himself, opined just months ago that Donald Trump is immune from prosecution of any crime he does as long as it's an official act as President of the United States. Marcellus Williams was not seeking to have his voting rights restored like Kenny Batson. He wasn't seeking to spend the rest of his sentence in the comfort of his own home like Britt Reed. He wasn't seeking to have his charges completely dropped like the McCloskeys. He was seeking to remain alive in this world. That was a bridge too far for each Republican with the power to do so. Politics matters in every way. It touches everything. Please vote.
So this guy who just murdered Marcellus Williams regarding a murder of this woman right here named 𝗖cie𝗽𝗆𝗆𝗆. Now what does someone like Mike Parson have in common with someone like Gail? Not too much. I mean, they lived in the same general area in Missouri. At the time of her death, he worked in law enforcement. On top of being a sheriff, among other things, Mike Parson also owned a number of gas stations in the area, which, I mean, what does that have to do with anything? Probably nothing. Seems like a lot of her investigative journalism was inspired by her being the victim of gasoline adulterated with illegally high levels of alcohol from local gasoline stations. I guess that was really like screwing up a lot of things for people in that area of Missouri at a certain point in time. I guess this was a pretty big issue, and Gail reported on this so much, in fact, that a transit expert is the first speaker in her educational lecture series that was all about advocacy regarding public transport in Missouri. She was a big advocate of public transit. After she was done being a reporter for the Post-Dispatch, she volunteered for tortured children and championed environmental and other social causes. She recently wrote in a letter to a reporter before she died, "Evil likes to sniff out a person's weakness and attack from there." She said that. She might have been small in size, but she was never afraid to stand up for what she believed in. So again, what does Mike Parson have in common with 𝗖cie 𝗽𝗆𝗆? Well, only a couple things, but that's a couple things more than what she has in common with Marcellus Williams. I think this is a really weird thing to say. So there's no confusion. I don't condone violence. Truly evil people like this, I think violence is the least of their concern. When you know an innocent man is going to be put to death, you're murdering them. It takes a truly evil person to do something like that. I was not surprised to learn that his family owned slaves. As a former cop, he knows he's pretty much above the law. Somebody who grants 11 executions in a very short period of time, it's not a normal person we're dealing with. And I say this because if you can do what this man is doing with such ease, that means that this man is used to doing far, far worse without concern. If I were him, what I would be most afraid of is the public's keen ability to dig out skeletons in people's closets, especially in the digital age. Because I would guarantee that this guy's got some deplorable shit on his hard drive. Unfortunately, shit like this happens far too often, and it's happened for years, and it's done. Like, we can't. We need to start looking into every single thing this guy has done, including cases he was on when he was a sheriff. We need to just completely dig up this guy's entire history, because there's some bad shit in there. And I hope he's afraid. I hope every single day he's a little bit worried that people are going to find out what he's done. Because trust me, he's got some skeletons in his closet. So now it's just about airing them out to the public.
Wake of Governor Mike Parson publicly lynching Marcellus Williams last night, we are now all starting to dig a little deeper, and by a little I mean really deep, into Mike Parson and who he is and what relation he actually had to the victim being 𝗖cie 𝗽𝗆𝗆𝗆. Alright, walk with me on this one. Mike Parson, he not only served in the police force, but he was also a businessman. So he owned a gas station, and from one gas station, he expanded into 3. So he was actively expanding his business and trying to be successful as a businessman, while 𝗖cie 𝗽𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆, she was a reporter and social worker. So 𝗖cie 𝗽𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆, she was reporting on gas stations and how they had like a bad mix of gas, and she was impacted by it, like injured. So she was trying to bring to light all of these different harmful impacts of what gas stations were doing and how that was impacting the city. I wonder why Mike Parson would have any reason to misplace blame. Just so we're clear, 𝗖cie 𝗽𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆 was reporting on gas stations doing bad things that she herself was impacted by as a social worker who is committed to values like service and social justice and integrity. Yeah, she's probably going to be doing an investigation that will reveal harm, because that's what social workers do when they're in positions like reporting. So Mike Parson, remember, he was the one that owned the gas stations and worked in the police department. Interesting connections, right?
Just know this man's done really awful shit, and if you've been waiting for an opportunity or the right moment to talk about what this guy's done to you, right now's the time. And let me make myself very clear. Fuck the Supreme Court and fuck every single other person that allowed this shit to happen. But this guy could have single-handedly stopped it, and he didn't. And I know that it's really scary when people like this guy in a position of power, especially when he had so many ties to law enforcement, how scary it can be to tell your story. But now's the time. because there will be no doubt in anyone's mind of the evil that this man is capable of. So if you've been waiting for your moment, now's the time. And again, I do not condone violence, and that's not what I'm doing here. But what I am saying is that I hope that 6 p.m. Central Standard Time was the last minute that this man knew peace. I know people in Missouri, and I've heard about some of the shit you've done. And now I have a sneaking suspicion that the floodgates are about to fucking open on all the shit you got hidden in your closet, my guy. You're a disgrace to this country. You are a disgrace to the American people. You are a disgrace to our judicial system. You acted like a fucking dictator. And at this point, you're a fucking serial killer as far as I'm concerned. So, it's fucking sick. It's fucking sick.
For Allah determines, you know what I'm saying, I'm satisfied with it. Whatever, you know, so I already been right there at that moment. And I, you know what I'm saying, there's nothing changed about it. You know, I'm still, like I said before, I don't believe in the system, the criminal justice system. I don't believe in it, you know what I'm saying, to that degree. But I know that it can be used for good as well. So if good come out of it for me and for my family and for all those that's been supporting me, then all praise be to Allah. There's a little supplication that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, he used to say, "Oh Allah, if life is good for me, then give me life. If death is good for me, then give me death." You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel. You know what I'm saying? I say the same supplication. So yeah, I'm at peace, of course.
Number one thing I want to say, you know, my father was a very intelligent man, a very beautiful man. He had a connected spirit. Anybody who know about that, y'all know what I'm talking about. He had a very well-connected spirit and a strong spirit at that. So he went gracefully, he went peacefully, no begging, no pleading, no crying. You know what I'm saying? His time of death was 6:10 p.m. He looked good. He jumped a little bit, but besides that, he didn't seem in any pain. His message was to not uproar, y'all. I don't want nobody rioting, looting, stealing nothing, killing nobody, fighting the police. None of that. We don't need that right now. You know what I'm saying? We're going to rectify the situation another way. They got us on this one, and that's okay, because my father was the best one to sacrifice for change. So your brother, your father, your uncle, your cousin.
A system that allows people to play God is unacceptable, especially where doubt exists.
Dear viewers and subscribers, you know as well as we do that the American justice system is damaged beyond repair and rotten to the core with corrupt cops, corrupt private attorneys, corrupt public defenders, corrupt prosecutors, corrupt judges, corrupt politicians who lie to get into office and lie to stay in office. And let's not forget about the countless government officials who are corrupt and serve no one but their own interests. All of these groups of officials have one thing in common, which is that they fail to serve and protect the very people they are supposed to serve and protect, because the entire system is corrupt from the top. That begins with the Department of Justice. That's why Anelia has dedicated herself to restoring justice by publishing daily content on social media. She is a passionate advocate for social justice and legal empowerment, who began her journey into legal research as a legal abuse survivor. Anelia is doing the work to get rid of an unfair and unjust system, but she can't do it alone. She needs your support now. You can support this important work by simply hitting the follow button. Remember, the people you choose to follow on social media is who you amplify. So follow Anelia Sutton on this platform and across all social media platforms to amplify her mission for justice reform. Next, you can support Anelia by giving a contribution for her justice reform initiatives on aneliasutton.com/now. Your contribution, as little as $8, is critical to restore accountability, transparency, and justice for all back into the justice system. All right, let's get the engagement going here. Do all of the button things, so hit the like button, share this video, and comment hashtag Anelia Sutton. Stay tuned for more updates, and I'll see you in the next video. Check the video description box for all of Anelia's social media links and more helpful links mentioned in this video. Remember, knowledge is power. Unity is power, so stand together with Anelia for justice. United we stand, united we win. Thank you for watching, and thank you for all of your support.
I believe that legal education and personal finance are two sides of the same coin because corrupt officials target people who don't know their rights and are struggling financially. But with the right financial tool, you can protect yourself by building your personal credit. And that's where the Self card comes in. It's not just a secure credit card, but a powerful shield of protection and a symbol of empowerment. Don't let financial struggles allow corrupt officials to put a target on your back. Take control of your personal finances now. Build credit, build dreams. Get the Self card today on aneliasutton.com/self. You can also find a link in the video description box. This video is sponsored by Mission Possible University, a school I founded with courses dedicated to equal access to justice and closing the wealth gap. Join more than 4,000 students and over 20,000 alumni in the pursuit of brave ideas on missionpossibleuniversity.com. Please remember to hit the like, share, subscribe, and the bell notification.